and welcome back to Life and Style. This Relationship Wednesday. You're hanging out with me, Pastor Chris Atemo, and we are on Ask Pastor Chris. We've been going out to colleges, we've been going out to talk to the young people. They've got all kinds of questions that pertain to matters relationships, and we decided that we will not just watch them do different things out there and complain about them, mama about them, or criticize them. We decided that we'll be going out over there and try to get their questions and see whether we're able to answer and just bring perspective. So today I am here at the Pan-African Christian University that's around the Roy Sambu area. It's around Garden Estate. I'm hanging out here with the students of PAC. They love to call it PAC University. I will get to know from one of them what makes this a very unique place for them and what makes them love this place. But I've come here today for the Ask Pastor Chris, and I know you will enjoy the show. Remember to keep on tweeting. Follow us on the social media platforms at KTN Live _style for Twitter and for Instagram, and then on KTN Life and Style for Facebook. 22840 is our number. Write us an email, lifeandstyle@standardmedia.co.ke. The and is a symbol, and we would be in a position to come to where you are. If you want to invite us, send us an email, lifeandstyle@standardmedia.co.ke. Follow me also on my social media platforms at CJ Atemo, that is on Twitter, Chris Atemo on Instagram, and Chris J. Atemo on Facebook. There's a lady who's going to tell us what makes PAC unique. Kindly introduce yourself.
Okay, my name is Valentine Wirimo. I'm a student at PAC and I'm taking a degree in communication. And I'd like to say something about PAC. This is a school where leaders are made, first thing. And then second thing, it's a school of theology.
All right.
And it's spiritual in nature. It's just perfect.
Okay.
And then the facilities we have in school and the activities that we have, and it's an amazing place to be.
Well, so we're going straight into the questions that we have today, and I'm ready to take the first question.
This thing of age, is there like a specific age to date? Because I believe age is not maturity. You see, I might be 19, 20, but the way I reason and my intellect is like higher than a person who's like 25 and 26. I believe God gives wisdom. And when you look at Solomon, he was not the oldest person in his time, but he was the wisest. So I believe it's not a matter of age, it's a matter of maturity. So what do you think about that?
Okay. You've done two things. You've asked the question and answered it already. But yes, you are right that it's not about age. But again, it is about the development of the person. It is about priorities. It is about the goals that you have. And that actually should define everything that you do, your life mission. When you have clarity of your life mission and your vision, then it is easier for you to set goals and your objectives. Then you get to know what are your priorities. Because sometimes you are even mature enough to be in a relationship, but it's not a priority at that particular point. It's either going to eat up on something that is very important, because relationships are a whole investment. It needs you to spend time, give yourself, give your energy, give your emotions. And you may be mature, but you are not in the place to give yourself to the other person, so it would be very unfair. So it's a whole thing that you've got to weigh, that is just not about age and formation, but you've got to look at the broader picture and of course, what you would want to accomplish with that relationship.
Like as youths, we always face problems whereby maybe you may have like 6 breakups before you finally meet the person that you love. So I was asking, maybe what
I thought that the only reason there's breakups is because you loved those ones too.
No, it's not that way. So like I was asking,
I understand
maybe,
what you mean. Okay.
What's the right time for you, maybe for instance, as a youngster to take, like say, maybe your boyfriend or your girlfriend to your parents? Is it something nice, or those are some of things that may cause people to break up?
Well, I'm really trying to get the connection of the entry of your parents into the picture. But I am a believer that different people relate differently with their parents. There are people who are very open with their parents. they socialize very differently, so that even at the point where they've just gone out on a first date or they met somebody, they'll easily talk about it, and the parent will understand it is not anything serious. It's just their friendship. Then there are those ones who have grown up in the kind of homes where everything is really very serious, very formal, very tough. And sometimes you don't bring in anything that you are not sure of. You only come in when you're sure that you want to, either you have entered into or you want to get into a serious relationship with that person. Having said that, though, it is good for your parents to know what's going on in your life so that they can guide you. You will make mistakes. Some of them are because of your growth process, development. That's why you break up here and you break up the next time. What you thought was attractive, you get into it, and then you realize that life is bigger sometimes than the looks, than what people call the chemistry. There are various things that attract us to people, especially when we are young. We're discovering ourselves, and in that self-discovery, we keep on changing in appetites, in priorities. We keep on changing in what we think is essential or important then. So it's part of the growth process. I do not advocate that you should break up all over the place just because you're young. But then there is that opportunity because you're still trying to discover yourself and find out what you want. Most men don't know what they want until probably about 28. Not clear about their goals, life missions. They're not clear about who they want to become, and they may not be very clear about the woman that they want to have. So you find that what attracted you may not have been the main thing. Then you begin to look for something else. So it is okay to be open with your parents, especially if they are able to guide you. But when you're doing now formal introduction, that's a very serious thing, and it's a very different one altogether. So they've got to understand the difference. Is it just accountability or is it introduction? When you're talking to them, there is that place of accountability. They need to know who is in your life. But then there is that place where you say, I want to settle down with this person. That's a very different thing. You cannot take everybody to that place.
Okay, sometimes you may have maybe your partner, maybe as you were young, but because maybe in the first place she liked something else, but maybe she realized later that maybe that character that you had, she couldn't, maybe you couldn't maybe have it for long. But now maybe she has realized that maybe she's not, you are not meeting her needs or her standards. So she's like, whatever you're doing, it's not something that appreciates her. So maybe, do you look for somebody that matches you, or you try please that person so that she can maybe, for the sake of us, she can maybe meet what you want?
Sorry to cut you. I think I get the gist of your question. I don't think that you look for somebody that really matches you in the sense that they will not find fault with you. You look for somebody you can grow together. Growing, that means they give you space to develop as a person mentally. They allow you to grow intellectually. They allow you to grow socially. They allow you to grow financially. You need to have people who give you the space to grow while they're growing. So there'll be three aspects of growth there. One is yourself, two is your partner, then three is the relationship. The relationship cannot grow at the expense of the individuals because the individuals form the foundation of the relationship. Yet again, the individuals cannot grow at the expense of the relationship because then they can actually be growing apart. So it's important that there is effort on all sides. If somebody has seen a trait in you and they cannot cope with it, you see, that's what I talked about, that at a certain stage, there are things you're looking at and you think they're attractive or they're important or they're necessary. Then as you keep on growing, you realize your appetites are changing. You can't tie them to that unless they're willing to walk with you through the process. On the other hand, again, the question is, what kind of trait would that be? Is it something you can change, or is it something that is in your core personality? If it is something that is within your power to change, and you value the relationship, then you begin to work towards it. If it's something that you really cannot, or you're battling with, and it's going to take time, and they're not patient, then you may just have to let go.
My question is in regard those who, for example, they come from broken families. You see, some of them, they tend to have trauma. For example, in trust issues, you're scared in getting to a relationship.
So what advice would you give to such people?
It is natural for people where they have experienced failure to have fear of repetition. It is natural for them where they have gone through pain to have the fear of the recurrence of the same. So the thing they do is to protect themselves. Probably they saw what caused the breaking of the family. Maybe there was physical or emotional abuse, all kind of stuff like that. And the picture that they had of a relationship was not very good. So they do not see how they can commit because there'll always be that fear that probably they could go the same way. Now, they need to get to a place where they understand that they cannot change the past, but they can define who they are. They can redefine themselves. There is also positive influences out there. They can find other people who've got relationships that are working. They can find mentors and coaches, people that they can speak to. Because if you find a compelling good, you may forget the bad that happened to you. They just need that. It's like switching channels. It's changing channels. So you stop focusing on the negative and being surrounded by negative people, and you begin to look for positive influences around you. And if they find people who will believe in them, they will begin to become secure. And they need to know that they don't have to repeat patterns. Then even when they get into relationships, they may need to grow it slowly because they have fears. And they may need to alert the other person to know, I'm not coming from an easy place. So even as I come into this relationship, I've got a lot of fears and insecurities. And a good person will help them walk through it. Because once they get to the place of safety, then the walls will come down. So it takes the people around them and they themselves to make up their minds to decide, I'm not going to let my past hold me.
I have this question that I keep asking myself in my head. From the parents' viewpoint, they do not support relationships. So I think to myself, now that marriage is an institution ordained by God, how do you get into marriage if you don't get into a relationship? That's part A of the question. Then part B is, we are told, okay, I listen to people speak, people with a lot of wisdom speak. They say, for you to marry, you have to marry someone who is more than you love, someone who is your friend, because you're going to spend your life with them. So I wonder, how do you marry a person you have not known? Because the relationships are prohibited. You have to grow into knowing this person for a period of time to become a friend of this person. So how are you able to do that in order for you to finally get married to someone who is more than a loved one, a person who you can call your best friend, yet relationships are being fought?
Well, I'm not so sure that relationships are being fought. Parents will naturally be protective over their children, and especially when they have daughters, they'll be very protective. Parents have invested in you, in a sense. So you are like an investment. I don't want to make it sound like that, but you're like an investment where they're expecting returns. And they do not want to think that every emotional, intellectual, spiritual, financial resource that was spent on you, or invested in you will go to waste on one decision. Probably it's the fear of having seen several people making very bad decisions concerning relationships, and people's lives just stop at the place of relationship. Somebody could have everything going and then they make just one turn when it comes to relationship and their life stops there. So sometimes the parents are just careful. They want to make sure you are through with school, you have established yourself on your course, you did not abandon school, you did not abandon your career or something, so that by the time you get into the next stage of your life, they're sure that you have done the basics right. So I don't really think that they fight it. And that's why I spoke about the stages and the priorities and the goals. The problem is not even being in a relationship, for example, when you're in college. The problem is how much that relationship takes from you. Because if it is taking all your time, occupying your mind, you're so stressed till you can't attend class. Everything around you, you're missing out class because you're going to hang out with this person, then it is not healthy for you. So sometimes they can see what you don't see, where you are losing balance. And that's generally what happens with most people at the initial stages. We're still trying to find our balance, and the heart issues can create such a huge imbalance that by the time we are recovering ourselves, we may have lost some time. Having said that, you can develop friendships, with people. And you can do that. Your parents still would need to know what you're doing. They may resist it initially, but you see, the more information they get, the less fearful they become. If they can see responsibility, they become less fearful. What most young people will do is that when they're in relationships, they will hide it. It becomes very mysterious. It's just the change of character and habits that are being seen. And then, so your parent does not trust that you know what you're doing. It doesn't just happen at the point of relationships. I mean, they never would have let you go easily into kindergarten. There was attachment. They knew that you needed it, but then there was that attachment. It's just a thing of trying to find out, do you know what you're doing? If you can show that you know what you're doing, I think most parents would be supportive. So instead of creating that gap and making them have their suspicion, their fears, and their doubts, it is up to now the young person to kind of open up that door and let them know the kind of decisions that they are making so that this person has no fear of the unknown.
Okay, your explanation leads me to this question. Okay, now I'm through with school. I no longer have stress because of relationships. I'm through,
Right.
I'm even working. So does it mean there is a specific time or a specific age that you get to, then now you are allowed to get into a relationship?
Well, no, and if you listen to my answer well, I'm talking more about their emotional attachments and their fears that they do have. And they could still have those fears even if you are 30. The thing is, has there been consistency of sound judgment in your life? If you have not had sound judgment in your life, you could even be 35. And your mother is still afraid of the relationship you're getting into because they do not know whether you're going to make the right decision. So the thing is to always engage that conversation. Listen to what they are saying. You don't have to always do what they are saying, but listen to what they are saying and then let them know why you are making the kind of decisions that you're making. When you feel that you're ready, when you feel that you're emotionally stable enough, which is very key, your emotional stability, when you feel you're emotionally stable, when you feel that you have space both for you and for somebody else, then you are at a place probably that somebody else can come into your life. But that person can't come into your life when you don't even have space for yourself.
You find that there are some relationship where you break up almost 6 times, but you are still together. You still keep the love for each other. I'm asking that, is that relationship healthy or you can look for another partner?
Well, I think a good relationship or a solid relationship is one that has had its own share of conflict, and that conflict has been resolved. I think that having broken up and come back together could either be a positive or a negative, depending on the two people that are in it. The main issue would be, why does it keep on breaking up? Is it because people are impatient with one another, intolerant? Is it because somebody throws tantrums? Is it because somebody is manipulative? Is it because that is the only way that one person knows how to solve problems, that if we disagree, we break up? Or are there valid reasons? So you've got to look at the whole thing, like what causes that entire drama? Is the conflict something that is helpful to the relationship? But if it is because of emotional instability, they may need to ask themselves whether they still would want to go on, because somewhere along the line they will wear each other out emotionally. If there is no solid causes for those breakups or for the conflict, then they will wear each other out. If it is because somebody throws tantrums or is manipulative or somebody is controlling or somebody has anger issues, then somewhere along the line, if I'm always getting angry and then I say I've broken up with you and then I'm expecting the girl to come back to me, then tomorrow again I say I've broken up, you see, that's manipulation. And somewhere along the line, they will get worn out. So you've got to look at the bottom line and address it from there.
There is a friend of mine, I'll not mention the name, but he has been with this certain girl, but after some time, he promises the dad and an uncle and also several other people about the relationship and also marriage, but they are very young. but after his promise to these people, they all die. And then they break up with the girl. What should happen?
Well, I think you cannot be tied to a relationship that will not work because you made a promise to other people. The greatest promise that you make in a relationship is to the person you are relating with. If I promise somebody's father that I'm going to marry their daughter, then it's just not working. I do not think that it would be fair for me to be bound to that. Even if they were alive. In fact, if they were alive, it would be easier because then you go and free yourself from the vow that you have made. That's what even Scripture says. When you tie yourself with a vow, then you go back quickly and untie yourself with a vow. That's Proverbs 6:2 and 3. So there is that space for untying yourself from a vow, because it also matters what state were you in at the point you're saying that. People make a lot of promises based on excitement. Some of the times they're very short-sighted. They just see tomorrow. That's why a young person will promise a girl, everything about life, things that he can't even keep for himself, because he's only seeing the immediate, and out of that, he doesn't have sound judgment. And somebody must be fair enough to somebody who made a commitment while they did not have soundness of emotion or mind, that cannot work. You go to a court of law, if you can show that you were made to sign something under duress, you are free from it, because there are very many factors that come in sometimes into our decision-making process. So I do not think that the person is bound to that. He should be bound to his own conviction. He should be bound to his own honesty. He should be bound to his own uprightness. He should be bound to his own truth, to the person that he would want to marry. And if he knows that is the person he needs to be with, all other things are excuses or external influences. All right. We have been here hanging out with PAC, Pan-African Christian University, getting their questions and answering to them. I know you could be having your own questions back at home. Keep writing them, send them on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram. The hashtag is KTN Life and Style. Remember to keep on following us on our social media platforms at KTN Life_Style for both Instagram and Twitter, and KTN Life and Style on Facebook. Follow me also at CJ Atemo, that's Twitter, Chris J. Atemo, that is Facebook, and Chris Atemo, that is on Instagram. 22840 is our text message number. But if you would want us to come and have Ask Pastor Chris at your institution, write us an email, lifeandstyle@standardmedia.co.ke. That "and" is a symbol, lifeandstyle@standardmedia.co.ke. Don't go anywhere. Keep on watching Life and Style every 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. weekdays. So tomorrow we have Inspiration Thursday with Tendai Mbalekwa, Catherine Wangi, and Mary Mwikali. God bless you. Have a lovely day.